Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Ferguson, and I guess about 4 years ago, I was witness to an online video, YouTube video, about 2012, and I was like, woo, woo, and then I saw another one and another one, and after about a half an hour of looking around on the internet, I discovered that there was lots of people who were worried about this. And then recently, they put out a documentary on 2012 on the History Channel. Did anybody see that, the History Channel documentary? So I was thinking to myself, well, I really need to investigate that. And so I began to. And I've discovered some wonderful things I'd like to share with you tonight. But first, I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. I have, what are you looking at, sir? Just kidding. Sorry. I've done a lot of different things in my life, and some of them are very quirky, and some of them are kind of serious. So right now, I'll highlight some of the quirky ones, so you can get to know me a little bit better. I really like to have fun. And one of the things that I love to do the most is to dress up like a statue, like a Paul Revere or George Washington, or like a granite statue, and I perform at Bumbershoot or downtown Seattle, that sort of thing, and I stand really still. Then when somebody comes up and they don't believe that I am a human, but instead an installation piece of artwork, then I'll look at them. And then they will jump out of their skin. And we got some really good video of this online, that sort of thing. So one of my favorite things to do. Also, when I was in high school, or in elementary school, I was teased a lot. And so to react to that and try to become more popular, I decided to kind of try to join the circus and begin learning circus arts. So I learned to juggle and ride the unicycle and walk on stilts and that sort of thing. And that has been part of my life since, and I also like to play the accordion. So that's the quirky side of me. Now you'll see maybe a little bit more serious side as we get in with our thing, our presentation. Tonight's topic, well, you really can't see red on the screen, but it says Apocalyptic Prophecies. The word apocalypse refers to something that is catastrophic and destructive, and prophecy refers to something that is going to be happening in the future. So, can you see the Space Needle in there? It's over on the left. Let me get out my laser pen. I'll use this one instead. That right there is the Space Needle. And this is a photoshopped picture of what Seattle might look like were we to have an apocalypse. There are several different ways of looking at the Aztec, or the Mayan prophecies. The Mayans were a civilization that lived about the middle, in between the period where it switched from BC to AD, and now they lived about that time. They lived a lot longer, but that was the peak of their civilization. And they put together, during that time, a way of keeping track of time based on what they were looking at in the stars, how the sun moved, charting things in shadows, and they became extremely accurate. They had the same year that we do, 365-day year, which is astounding for that time because other people didn't figure that out for much longer until after that. So they also, instead of using centuries, they use something called a Baktun, which is a set of 400 years. So they have a year, they have a 20-year period, which they celebrate kind of like we would celebrate a decade. It's not a very big deal. And a Baktun is 400 years. And when we come up to a millennium or a 400-year or a 100-year celebration, we throw a big party. You guys remember when the year 2000 came about, there was TV shows that showed the celebration moving around the world. In India, they put up glowing balloons up into the sky by the thousands. In Greece, they had fireworks, and here we had lots of fireworks, and people were going crazy. But what's one thing you remember about 2000? Maybe you remember how everybody was freaking out and building bomb shelters and buying cans of food and bags of rice and stuff like that. And so that was an end-of-the-world prophecy that happened during your lifetime. Thank you, Brenda. This is my wife, Brenda. A little round of applause, please. She is very beautiful. So now, the Mayans transferred their calendar to the Aztecs, who lived shortly after them. They came up after the Mayans kind of began to die down. They had the same religious system, they had the same calendar, and everything like that. And normally, when you look at the Mayan prophecy for December 21, 2012, your attention is brought specifically to the Mayan way of keeping track of time. Since we're kind of used to that, I'm going to use a new angle. It's the same message, basically, but it's a new angle. And it's very visual. So many people have seen this sunstone, and maybe you've seen it on the Azteca restaurant. But what does it really mean? I just want to point out a few cool facts about this. It was finished in 1479. It's a lot later than people think. They think it's like from the BC era or something. But it was finished in 1479. You can see actually right here on the top, there's a set of little numbers. They're the Mayan and Aztec way of writing numbers, so you can't see it, but it actually says the date that it was finished. It also happened to be the same year that Columbus was married. Nice guy. It's good. It's 12 feet in diameter. This is how tall I would be if I was, that's my silhouette, not my silhouette, but a guy who's the same height I am put up there. It was discovered in 1790 because it had been buried for a couple hundred years. It weighs 25 tons. And in the museum that it's on display at in the city of Mexico, or in the country of Mexico, they have it up on this tall pedestal. It seems kind of dangerous to me when I look at the picture of the whole thing. But it has the same month and year and long cycle ages as the Mayan culture did. So the outside, we see there are two winged dragons, or serpents with legs, and they're eating a man and a woman. You can see their heads. The woman has kind of a bouffant hairstyle, and the guy has kind of just a combed hairstyle. I guess that's how they did it in the Aztecs and the Mayan culture. And some people have said that these little bulges on the side of the snakes are fire, but most scholars are beginning to understand that those are actually wings. So, the next layer in, we have sunbeams, which is a symbol of sun worship, which the Mayans and Aztecs both just loved. They also sacrificed people, which is not something that we like, but that's what they did. And so there are drops of blood scattered through the design, and there's the Pleiades symbol right around here. There's a whole bunch of them. I think they were just using it as decoration, but they were saying, the Pleiades. So. Also, in the next circle in, we have the 20-day month, and they named their days cool things like crocodile, and wind, and house, and snake, and death, and ideas, and things like that. And I thought that was very cute of them to do, but they had kind of more sinister reasons for doing that, because these are the days that they would worship these particular things, that sort of thing. And then we have the inside. This is where it gets interesting, because this is where it collides with the Mayan calendar specifically. There are 5 ages. The first one starts here. It goes around this way, the same one that they would read, and then there's a middle one. The first one that we see there looks like a jaguar or a leopard, and it's called the Ocelotinu age. And the next one's called Atonatu, then Kuyatunatu, and Ekanatatu, and then Tonatu. Just the simple, you notice that there's something similar in all of the last parts of the word, and that's the word Tonatu, and that's referring to the sun god himself. So the first age, the age of the leopard, the second one's of water, but they had these legends that went along with the ages as they go around. 3 of the ages happened before the Mayans even existed, and so they projected backward, keeping their oral history. They would tell each other stories to their kids. Those kids would tell stories to their kids about the ages long past, and then when they developed their way of keeping track of time, they set those things into time and kind of put them backward into the calendar. So the first one, they called it the age of giants and the age of life. When things were created and there were giants around the world, they said that they were